So from that chart of historical data, we determined about 5.32 inches of water would be needed for the month of June. That's how much water is lost to evapotranspiration. Well, we can make some adjustments because that evapotranspiration data is based on a specific crop. Generally, it's either a well-watered, cool season turf grass or alfalfa. Sometimes there are other reference crops, but those are the two main ones we use here in California. For landscaping purposes, it is that well-watered, cool season turf grass, okay? But your plants likely do not need as much water as that reference crop that they're using to calculate this data. So we need to know what is our crop coefficient or our species factor of our plants. And then we need to know the distribution uniformity. We can either calculate it in the field or estimate it. Okay, we talked about this. How uniformly is that water applied? Never 100%. Visually, this is what's happening underground when it's not uniform. A is uniform and efficient. B, not uniform, but good scheduling. But you've got this dry spot here. C, overwatered to compensate for the low DU. That is the generally accepted practice because you water to the dry spots. You don't want dry, suffering or dead plants. And D, good uniformity, bad scheduling. They've overwatered. So this line here is representing the active root zone of the plant. Any water that moves beyond that is not available to the plant, so it's considered wasted. Okay, there's sprinklers again. You see this stuff all the time. These are common problems that lead to lower uniformities and can cause problems in the landscape. Surely we've all seen something like this. This is just bad head spacing, low uniformity. You get dry circles on the outside perimeter radius throw of that sprinkler. Okay, you want to understand how water is held in the soil, how much water is available in the soil, and also the infiltration rate of the soil. So what you notice is the coarser soil, your sandy soils, hold less water. I have 15 minutes to get you guys through this. Oh boy. Sandy, coarser soils hold less water, but the infiltration rate is much higher. The water moves down through the soil. So with the drip irrigation system, the wetting pattern is going to be like a narrow cone in a sandy, coarse soil. In a clay soil, you get much better lateral movement and a nice, wide wetting pattern. So it's really important to understand your soil type. So for the species factor and your plant type, we can make it simple. Here's your plant types: tree, shrubs, ground covers, turf grass. High, medium, low. These are species factors. If you want to really get down to where these numbers are coming from, you can go to the Department of Water Resources website. They have what we call WUCOLS. There are tons of acronyms out there, folks. WUCOLS, W-U-C-O-L-S, Water Use Classification of Landscape Species. Wonderful, wonderful reference. Has hundreds of different plants. Their plant water requirements based on the regions of the state. Okay, and it also factors in plant density, how closely are those plants planted together, and a couple of other factors, microclimates, different microclimates, to help come up with these numbers. But these are good numbers to start with if you don't have the time or desire to really dig deep into some of that information. Okay, so I think the example that we're going to use today with those handouts I gave you, we'll be using a low water use plant. So let's take a look at those real quick. So that monthly peak ET, well, we talked about that earlier, 5.32 for June. The daily peak ET, well, I actually went to Simmons this morning. This June's been warmer than I think we're accustomed to. Last Sunday, I believe it was almost 100 degrees in certain parts of Santa Cruz. The ET for that day was 0.26. That's very high for this area. We don't usually see over a quarter inch gone to the atmosphere that day. Usually it's around the highest ET rates are usually around 0.17 to 0.2, to 0.2 of an inch. So we're going to go with that number for the daily peak ET. The species factor we're going to say is a low water use plant, so that would be 0.2. Canopy diameter, in this case, with our example, we're going to use a shrub, a low water use shrub. It has a 4-foot diameter. That's not 4 feet. I mean, that's 4 feet. Application efficiency or uniformity of this drip system, we're going to approximate at 90%, 0.9. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to put two emitters per plant, and we'll get to that, how we determine that shortly as well. Okay, so there's that formula on your sheet here. It's written out here as well. 0.623 is just a constant. Just know that that's not going to change. It's basically converting it from inches to gallons, because we need to know gallons here. The area is your canopy area. We said it's 4 feet. Well, that's a circle. Pi r squared, 3.14 is approximately pi. The radius is 2 feet, because I said the diameter is 4 feet. Square it, well, we get back to 4. Peak daily ET, I told you, was 0.2 of an inch. Species factor, 0.2. Because back here, we said a low water use shrub, the species factor would be 0.2, 0.2 of an inch. And in our example, we've got a low water use shrub with a 4-foot diameter in a sandy soil. So then our formula is 0.623 times 12.6, because that's how the math came out, with 3.14 times 4 times 0.2 of an inch, that's our daily peak ET, times 0.2, which is our species factor. So basically we've determined that low water use shrub with a 4-foot diameter will need about half a gallon per day of water. All right? How are we going to determine the number of emitters? We're going to take the square footage of the plant root zone. In this case, we call that the canopy. I know the plant root zone and the canopy don't match up exactly. But you know, we need to have some solid numbers here. So we just say for this sake of this formula that they're the same. So our canopy was 12.6, right? Yeah. Times 0.75. We don't need to wet the whole area, right? 75% of it is more than sufficient. Square footage of the emitter wetted area. That gets back to your soil type. I think, yeah, okay, it's right there. Don't worry, it's right there. We're going to get to it in just a minute. And in this case, I determined 5 square feet because it's a sandy soil. We do the math. All right, let's go here first before we do that math. So our sandy soil, dripper flow rate, half a gallon per hour. The the diameter we said is about 4 feet. I'm going with this 3 to 7 square feet. I'm right in the middle. I said 5 square feet of the wetted area because I've got the half gallon per hour emitter with the sandy soil.
Sorry, where did these tables come from?
This table came from this book here, Drip Design in the Landscape by the Irrigation Association. Very good book, highly recommended. It's in the back too. I have a list of references in the back. And again, this presentation will be available shortly. Okay, so our application rate equals the emitter flow rate. So hopefully you're following along here. Times the number of emitters. We said that was 2. We said the flow rate was 0.5 gallons per hour. Application efficiency, or uniformity, we agreed was 90%, 0.9. Half gallon per hour times 2 emitters times 0.9. Your application rate is almost 1 gallon per hour. 9/10 of a gallon per hour. Run time per day. So our plant water requirement, what did we determine that was? Half gallon per day divided by our application rate. We said it was 9/10 of an inch, or 9/10 of a gallon, right, per hour, times 60. So run time per day, 0.5 divided by 0.9 times 60, around 30 minutes per day. So if you ran it every day, you would run it for 30 minutes per day. You don't necessarily want or need to run it every day. Now we're getting back to our management allowable depletion. This is going to help us determine how often do we need to run it every day. is the percent of the total plant available water that you're willing to lose before you fill up that soil reservoir again, just like in that slide earlier. In this case, we're going to say 50%. We're willing to lose 50% of the water in the root zone before we replenish. Yes, for thirstier plants or shallow rooted plants, you might even want to go lower. For some drought tolerant plants, you can inch that up. So what we're doing here is calculating a lot of stuff, and then you're going to go out to your landscape and do ground truthing and verify and adjust as needed, but at least you're thinking about all these different things: my plant size, my soil type, the root zone, the weather. So you're not just making wild guesses about how you're irrigating. You're making informed decisions. So our period is the month of June, because now we want to figure out how many days do we really need the water. We need to know the plant water requirement and the managed allowable depletion. There's your formula for that. You just multiply them together. So where did I get 2.66? Well, the plant water requirement was 5.32, right? That was for June. And we're going to take half of that because my management allowable depletion is 50%. So I'm going to take, and then divide it, and you get 5 irrigation days during the month of June. Well, okay. So that means basically we have 5 days out of 30 we want to irrigate. We can make it simple and say 4 days, right? We're dealing with low water use plants too. We can be flexible here. We want them to not need as much water. So I'm going to make it easy and say, well, there's 4 weeks in a month, so let's just say we're irrigating once a week then. So we'll do it 4 times. You can do it 5. I'm not going to argue against that, but let's make it easy on ourselves. And we'll irrigate once per week. I know a lot of this is going by really fast, but that's why all this is going to be available. That's why I gave you this, so that you can go over it again. I don't expect anybody to necessarily go, aha, I got it now. But I'm introducing you to these concepts so you can think about how much water you're applying, and I have 5 minutes to get you through this. And I'm not expecting anybody to walk out of here an expert. Okay. 1 cycles, how do you like that? So we determined basically it's going to be 1,000 minutes per month. Oh my God, 1,000 minutes. What? Well, 33 minutes per day, and we're taking a 30-month period, a 30-day period in a month. 30 times 33, almost 1,000. And we said we were going to irrigate 4 times per month. So that means 250 minutes per week. Well, we can do a little math here. 1,000 minutes per month divided by 60, 16 hours, 16.7 hours per month. But let's think about how much water are we really using, because 1,000 minutes sounds like a lot. Sounds like we're using a lot of water, right? Well, okay, 16.7 hours times ½ gallon per hour. And let's say we had 40 plants out there, and each of them have 2 emitters. Well, that means there's 80 emitters. Oh, 667 gallons for a month. It's not bad. You're billed in units. When you get your water bill, you're billed in units. How much water is in 1 unit? 748. Because there's 748 gallons in 1 cubic foot, or 100 cubic feet. 748 gallons in 100 cubic feet. So you're being billed in 100 cubic feet. So 1 unit for that whole area. Oh, that's pretty good. You're maintaining a low water use, low maintenance landscape, and using less than 1 unit. That's not even going to be noticeable on your water bill. You'll use probably 4 to 5 units just indoors, showering, washing clothes, washing dishes, etc. Big deal.
20 gallons a day, right?
It's something, yeah, something like that. Or I think we said, did we say 33 gallons per day? Oh, there you go. So now you've done the math. Do it at home. Confirm that this is all working well for you. The plants are healthy. Maybe you can start easing back a little more. All right, maybe I'll put even less water. Find that sweet spot there, and you're good. It's going to change every year because weather's going to be different every year. The more mulch you apply, the less water you're going to use. Okay? So I hope this is helpful. I hope that it at least gets you thinking about all these important aspects of irrigation instead of just doing what often people do. I'm just going to water for an hour a week or an hour every day. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just because. So we did it for June, right? Well, now you can use that feature on your controller, the percent adjust, and adjust it for the rest of the months, because that was just for June. Just that 1,000 months was just for June. Every other month is going to be a lot less, and November through March, at least, maybe even October through April, just it's off entirely. And there's the math for that too. Right? So all you do is go to the controller in March, dial it back to 60%, you're done. Okay, here's some local resources for nurseries, irrigation supplies. Again, this will be available very shortly online. And then some publications. So there's that drip design in the landscape by the irrigation system. There's also simplified irrigation by Pete Nelby. Of course, you should all know about the Sunset Western Garden Book. Lots of good information in there about plant water requirements in different regions of the state. And that's it.